Welcome to the Ben Buzz. I'm Benny King, and you're listening to another episode of Hawkeye State of Mind. Now, this is going to be covering the Iowa Hawkeyes women's basketball, which I have not touched on yet. That's my bad, but the undefeated streak did just come to an end, unfortunately. Now, Iowa women's basketball, they really came to the promised land with all of the rise of Caitlin Clark and everything that came with that. The title runs fell short twice in a row, but the amount of revenue, the amount of rejuvenation that was put into this Iowa women's program because of those runs has certainly felt the lasting effects, as Iowa has done well since her departure. Now, this season has been no different. Now, if you go through it, Iowa won some really tough-not games. The game against Baylor was huge. Won it by 5, Baylor's 13th in the country. And now, unfortunately, falling to Iowa State. It sucks. 2025, the theme this year appears to be that Iowa loses to Iowa State. It sucks. It really does. And especially since this team was undefeated, number 11 in the country. And look at Iowa State sitting right above us at number 10, so that's a bummer there. And, of course, it was by 5, so it's like right within our grasp and missed it, but the team still has a lot to be proud of. You were right there on the road against Iowa State, and of course the men's team has to go on the road later today. The football team had to go on the road. It's going to be nicer next year when we get the McKinnick and Carver, am I right? And we'll be sure to get them. That's the goal. But anyways, Iowa State was able to beat us. That sucks. That's a huge rivalry in this state. It's huge. We just got to hope that the men's team pulls through tonight, but it's not looking good, because all of a sudden, Iowa State men's team is really good. So let's break down what the Iowa women's team has done thus far. So certain wins over Southern U, Evansville, Drake, Northern Iowa, they're not going to wow you, but some of them are better than you think, because, put up 119 points. You start looking at these point differentials, they're huge. And then the Baylor win, of course, was clutch. We were at home for that, so we hadn't gone on the road against a ranked team until the one that we just witnessed, so that's a bummer. But going on the road at Miami did okay on the road and ended up squeaking out a victory 64-61. Now, Miami isn't terrible either, but would certainly want to win that game more, especially, Miami's not ranked, whatever the case may be. You'd just like to win that by more, would be more comfortable, but the win is the win nonetheless. And then Western Illinois, another one where you're like, you would thought that we would maybe beat them by more, but it was nothing too close, so you can give them, a pass on that for sure. And then Fairfield only by about 14 points-ish, so that's not even that great, and we were at home for that. And then on the road at Rutgers, and Rutgers, I don't think they came out of the locker room. There's no way. And if you looked at the score, there were some cope points in the fourth quarter from Rutgers. The score at the end of the third quarter, this game was over at halftime. It's crazy. 79-36 against a Big Ten opponent on the road. That certainly gave you a lot of confidence. You're like, whoa, this team is good. The undefeated streak is alive. Look at what they're doing. Look at how they're doing it. This team is really clicking. Then, of course, right after that, on the road at a tough Iowa State team. And Iowa State's just been clicking in all facets. Their football team was ranked for a good beginning part of the year. They end up falling out later on. But you look at the men's team upsetting the number 1 team in the country in Purdue. They're sitting number 4 in the country. And then you look at Iowa State here in women's basketball, and they're 11-0. That hurts. I don't like that at all. And then, of course, the men's team is also undefeated. So Iowa State fans, you should be pretty happy, obviously. And we'll see how the men's team does tonight, which I'll also have a preview of in another video. But at the moment, Iowa has a losing streak to Iowa State in a lot of sports. Now, I know, I'm saying, in 2025, it's been bad. The football team just lost. The women's team has now lost. The men's team is supposed to lose. But at least we won in baseball, because Iowa State still doesn't have a baseball team. I don't even know how that's possible. You're a D1 program. Where's the baseball team? But I'll take the win, though, because you didn't show up. So we won that one. Anyway, Iowa. It's looked great so far. And, obviously we haven't been at the level of peak that we hit when Caitlin Clark was here. But, certain remnants of that, you start looking through this team. There's still a lot of players. And I think Hannah Stolke is one of those legacy players that you look at where it's just she was there during the heyday. She's still very active and explosive. She's one of the better players home team, where you can start to look, she had 10 points. Maybe that was part of the reason. But, she was out on the floor just about the whole game. Chastity Wright had a huge game, 21 points. A lot of these contributors like Taylor Maccabee, love her. She had 11 points. Kylie Feuerbach, she had 10. So a lot of these guys where it's just like we were contributing, but it's just tough when you go on the road. And, I mean, look at the other team. I mean, Audi Crooks. I remember people were saying it was unfair that she was competing in a high school game because she was just so dominant, because she was just so much bigger, she was so much taller, she was so much better than the competition that they said, hey, she should play with the men. Like, she shouldn't be allowed to play against these girls. That's how elite Audi Crooks is, and we've certainly seen that dominance over the years. I mean, she is just a unit. She's an absolute unit. So, Audi Crooks, I mean, phenomenal athlete. I mean, you got to say it. She really is. 30 points, 10 rebounds. I mean, she's a boss. That's all you have to say about that. And it's great that she's repping our state, but it sucks when it's against us. But, I mean, certainly good for her. And, I mean, the level that she's competing at. And, you know, she's done great things in March Madness. And, you know, that's one of those things where you like the Stolke and Crooks rivalry now where it's like Crooks ends up taking this one. And, I mean, 30 points. And you watch some of her highlights from this game. I mean, she's just a beast, you know? I don't know. But she's really athletic and a beast, and it feels like she just desecrates all of the competition, and it's really hard to stop her. I think that's the biggest thing, but didn't do a great job. I mean, she had 30 points. No kidding, we didn't do a good job, but got to do a better job defending people like Audi Crooks. But honestly, she's just one of those players where it's just like, yeah, she's going to get shots off. She's going to do her thing because that's who she is. That's what she does. And, I mean, 30 points, certainly nothing to sneeze at. I mean, incredible performance. That's one of the big reasons when you're like, I wonder why we lost. Audi Crooks, there you go. If Audi Crooks isn't on the court, Iowa probably wins. And then Addie Brown also did really well. She had 20 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists. And then Jada Williams. See, a lot of these contributors, you see like big categories in rebounds, assists, and points. It's like Jada Williams, 5, 12, 11. Addie Brown, 12, 5, 20. And then Audi Crooks, I mean, she doesn't need assists when you have 30 points and 10 rebounds. Ridiculous. But then you look through where you're like several people got rebounds and multiple assists, and you know it's like they were really contributing. They were playing in all facets, and at the end of the day, that's why we lost. That's kind of the reality. And I mean, honestly, neutralizing Audi Crooks, you can't do it. It's tough, and maybe we're just not at that level to neutralize her. But I think she's just a unit. She's gonna get her points. You just got to find a way to neutralize the other facets. And I mean, when you had a person with 12 assists, Jada Williams with 12 assists. That's insane. And then Addie Brown had 5. So you start to think, man, like they're really spreading the ball around. So many people are contributing. They're really playing a team game. That's kind of what Iowa State's doing in men's basketball. So we'll see how that goes tonight. But Iowa State, their team is really doing well. And I mean, they're so lucky in the state of Iowa, like really tough, like in recruiting, but it's like they're so lucky that they ended up scooping her up. Where I feel like the in-state talents, like, I mean, Iowa State does get some, but you start thinking of like prodigies from the state of Iowa, like Cooper DeJean, that the football team ends up getting, but we end up losing Audi Crooks. She ends up going to Iowa State. I don't know if she wanted to go to Iowa at all, but when you're talking about in-state competition, you're always trying to scoop those people up. And, I mean, well done on Iowa State recruiting her. I mean, who wouldn't recruit her? But I guess she wanted to go to Iowa State. And at the end of the day, we're going to have to feel the repercussions of that for as long as she's there, because this is ridiculous. They're undefeated. They're top 10. 30 points. 30 points. That's the thing where I don't understand the narrative where people say that women's basketball is boring, because it's really not becoming that. If you watch Aja Wilson, or is it, dang, I can't believe I did that. It's Aja Wilson, I think. But she's phenomenal in the WNBA, and it's like the stats she's putting up, it's like, you want to say that's boring? You want to say like women's basketball players can't put up like stat numbers like that? It's like 30 points is usually like, some would say like foreign for women's basketball, especially when the points, like they only score 74. A lot of times like people are like, oh, like they hardly score, they don't dunk. It's just like, I understand some of the criticisms, but like especially college basketball. I watch a lot more of women's college basketball more because it's a lot more entertaining, I feel like it is. Like comparing it to WNBA, I think both have their sort of benefits. Obviously the effect of Caitlin Clark and, even Angel Reese has gotten a lot of popularity, but Aja Wilson is one of those players where you're like, man, like that is a unit. That is why we watch the sport. That's why the WNBA has a chance to thrive. So that's one of the big things. You start looking at someone like Audi Crooks, you wonder if she could end up breaking into that top category. I mean, honestly, we faced a really good competitor, and I mean, 30 points, she's an absolute unit. She's a center, 10 rebounds, so she's able to scoop those up, put them in, that's what she does. And we weren't able to neutralize her, but at the end of the day, you start looking at the stat line, and you're like 30 points, 20 points, and you're like, all these assists. A girl had 12 assists and 11 points and 5 rebounds. You start to think, oh my goodness, like the way they're spreading the ball around, Iowa must not have been close, right? Well, we were within 5. That's what's great to know is that they were playing so complimentary, like so many players had so great stat lines, and we were still in the game. Where you say if our defense plays a lot better, if we're able to shut down a few of those possessions, like we are right there. Despite Audi Crooks putting up 30 points, we were right there. And if you're looking at kind of like where we really lost the game, you can really look into the quarters and be like, oh, like they outscored us 13-26 in the third quarter. That's a big part of it. Because if you're just looking at like straight up who won each quarter, well, we won the first quarter, won the fourth quarter, and then the second quarter was pretty close, 12-16. And then, a 4-point lead in the first quarter, and then, in the fourth quarter end up scoring 8 more points than them. The real culprit of why we lost is the fact they outscored us by 13 points in the third quarter. So, going to need a better second half for sure, and, that's just tough. Because, a person like Audi Crooks, Addie Brown, they weigh on you, and you can certainly see their effect in the way they played complementary, the way multiple people had scores of 20 or more, where it's just like we really struggled in that facet. Only Chastity Wright got the 21. They kept Stolke at 10. That was a big part of why I think we struggled. Stolke, she played great, obviously, but they came into a plan, and they were able to stop Stolke more than we were able to stop Crooks. And that's not to discredit any other members of the team, because Chastity Wright played great. Taylor McAfee played great. Like, there's a lot of contributors on this team. It just didn't end up cultivating in a win because of how they were able to play good defense, but then also the way they were able to play so complimentary. It's ridiculous. Now, Iowa, still number 11 in the country. Pretty good. Now, what we really need to worry about is here in a few weeks going on the road at number 1 UConn. That's going to be a really good game. Now, we do have a chance to, bolster up and, really take it out on Lindenwood. We'd like to take it out on UConn, but whatever. If you see, I wonder if, Iowa was just like, oh, we were too close with Fairfield. We're just going to take that all out on Rutgers. So then this Iowa State game, going to take it all out on Lindenwood. And then that UConn game, we'll see where we end up being ranked, but that could be a top 10 matchup. Currently, it wouldn't be. But at the moment, kind of upsetting that we weren't able to get this one. And I know Iowa State's a great team. I know it's on the road. They have great players, obviously. They're a great team. The only problem is that in 2025, in almost all the sports, Iowa State beats Iowa. That's why it feels so important for the men's team to win tonight against Iowa State, but that shouldn't be on their backs, though, because Iowa State is supposed to be way better. They're probably going to be favored by a lot. They're home against that team, where it's just what really sucks is that, you want to beat State. You want to win that rivalry, a huge in-state game. It is the biggest game of the year for these teams. That's the one you circle and you're like, Iowa State, you just throwing up. You don't even want to say their names. You're like, beat State. You don't want to talk about them, where it's just that's the one you circle on the calendar, and haven't been able to come up with a win in the major ones. Women's basketball didn't go well. Football didn't go well. Only one that we can really hang our hat on, we're they don't even have a baseball team. Who knows? Maybe they would have beat us. No, our baseball team's elite, so I don't think they would have. But, crazy. It's just unfortunate. It's just one of those years where it's man, not having some great luck against State, because the men's basketball team is doing great. 1 loss, they're on a streak. We'll see what happens in the future for them, but they're doing pretty good. Or 2 losses, sorry, Michigan State. And, not 2 losses. Well, I'm already thinking in my head that we lost to Iowa State because they keep beating us this year. So we'll see what ends up happening there, but they're having a great season. Iowa's number 11 in the country. In football, Iowa was consistently ranked. They were close against top 10 teams all year, but we can't beat State. It's just annoying. And hopefully we'll start getting back on track tonight when the men's team plays them. But it's unfortunate. I am proud of what the women's team was able to do going on the road. It's a tough place to play in Ames. They have a great home field advantage there. And it's just some of these games, if we could get them in Carver, if we could have got this game in Carver, that 5-point spread, maybe you think that Iowa covers that at home? I don't know. I would have just liked to see that for sure. We just keep playing on the road against Iowa State this year, and it's not going well, and we got to do it again tonight. But overall, I think the women's team has a lot to hang their hat on. Still got a great winning streak going on before that, and won a ton of games, 11 in the country. Now, the schedule doesn't exactly lighten up per se. The Lindenwood game should be a win. We'll have to see, obviously, but I would assume so. The number 1 team in UConn, that's a big one where it's that's one to worry about for sure. And then Nebraska's number 24, number 25 Michigan State, number 7 Maryland, number 21 Ohio State, number 16 USC, number 4 UCLA, number 20 Washington, number 6 Michigan. The Big Ten is stacked. Oh my goodness. We run college basketball, men's and women's. Big Ten's on top. And then you look at the playoffs in college football. 3 of the top 5 seeds are Big Ten recipients. We run college athletics. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. But, I mean, there's so many ranked teams in the Big Ten, and you're just like, man, it's going to be a tough sledding here, but I think that this Iowa team has a lot of resilience, and it's unfortunate to lose that game against your big rival, but it's great to use it as motivation in the future as they have a very tough schedule on the horizon, and they need all the motivation they can get. So we'll try to recover after a very tough sledding against the biggest rival in the biggest game in the state as we fall to Iowa State on the road. This is the Ben Buzz. I'm Benny King, and thanks for listening to Hawkeye State of Mind.